know. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching Watch This, a segment where I discuss film, television reviews, and also screenwriting tips for beginning writers. So today, as you can see by the title, I will be doing a review on Netflix's new feature, The Piano Lesson. If you were interested in seeing my review, stay tuned. Okay, so I got a chance to watch The Piano Lesson. It is now on Netflix. I believe it is still playing in selected theaters. I know in Los Angeles it's playing at the Landmark. I know it was playing at the Egyptian Theater, but I'm not sure if it's still there. So I highly recommend checking it out in theater if you can. I am going to try to check it out in theater as well when I get some downtime, but it is still in selected theaters, probably in major metropolitan cities. So I highly recommend checking it out there. But if you can't do that, it is also on Netflix. So Netflix is premiering The Piano Lesson, which this is the second rendition of the stage play. The original stage play aired, I believe, in 2023. By Latanya Richardson, who is Samuel L. Jackson's wife. There was the original stage play was years ago, but they represented The Piano Lesson, and it was on Broadway in, I believe, 2023. And now they recreated it to be a film, and it is directed by Malcolm Washington. It's also produced by Denzel Washington and a few other people, but this is going on the, I want to say, the theme of legacy, which I really thought was really beautiful, that you have the family of August Wilson asking Denzel Washington to develop these plays into features, and he has been doing it. And I have to say, all of the films that I have watched, from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom to Fences to now The Piano Lessons, they put it in good hands, okay? Put it in good hands. So now, just to give, I'm just going to do a brief review on it and just talk about things that I appreciate in the film, and just my thoughts on everything. So I also got a chance to watch the rendition of the original stage play. They did a film in 1995. I also watched that film after I watched the 2024 Piano Lesson, and I kind of want to like do some comparisons in the sense of like seeing how Malcolm Washington actually really presented it in a very different way. So starting off just with an amazing cast, you have Boy Willie, who is played by John David Washington, and in the 1995 film, it was Charles Dutton who played Boy Willie. You have Bernice, who is played by Danielle Denwaller, and then in the 1995 film, it was Aubrey Whitard. And then we also had Doker, who is played by Samuel L. Jackson. And then that, in the 1995 one, it was Carl Gordon. If you know anything about Rock, the film, who Charles Dutton played Rock, and then his father, that was Mr. Gordon. You have Layman, who was played by Ray Fisher in this film, and then in the 1995 version, you had Courtney B. Vance, who played Layman, which was really cool. And it was really cool to see how their different take on each character. Who else? Whining Boy was played by Michael Potts in this film, And then in the 1995 film, Lou Myers played Whining Boy, which if you've watched A Different World, you know that's Mr. Gaines, which was really cool. And it was really cool to see everybody's rendition. I'm trying to see. Then you had Maritha, who was played by Skylar Smith. And then the 1995 version, you had Zelda Harris, who was the star of Crooklyn. And also He Got Game, which I love. Crooklyn is one of my favorite movies. I think that was everyone. Oh, Avery. Avery in this film was played by Corey Hawkins, and in the 1995 version, Tommy Hollis was the actor who played Avery. And I think that was kind of like the entire cast. Yeah, so we got a heavy hitter cast, and then also Willie Boy was played by Stephen James, who didn't have a lot of camera time. But when I tell you, when they did the flashback, okay, so let me just start with the cinematography and the different things that I saw that I really appreciated in the 2024 film. What I really loved about the film, first of all, the color palette was beautiful. The haunting aesthetic in the house, the camera angles, the choices that were made for where the director and the cinematographer put the camera. There was an amazing scene where, and this is, I believe, I'm gonna see if I can find the clip, because I think I saw a clip of it on Netflix as well. But there is a clip where all of the men, it's Layman, it's Boy Willie, it's Doker, and it's Whining Boy. They're all in the dining room at the table. They're having a conversation, and they then transition into a song that they would sing on the Parchment Farm. Now, as they first was starting off in the conversation, I loved how the camera angles, they were almost put in place as if we were, it was almost as if we were a fly on the wall, or ghostly, like we were peeking through. Like there were moments where the camera was peeking around the corner through the hallway in order to see the men at the table. There was another scene where I don't know if this was through a chair or if it was through a divider or like a different room, but it looked like the camera was peeking through. You know how sometimes like some old school furniture, they have like the back of the chair has like wooden pallets. It was like the camera was peeking through one of those holes, and we could see like we're peeking in on the conversation, and that was very haunting to me. I really appreciated that. There was another scene where I'm not going to give too much away, but Bernice was walking in the hallway of the house, and there was like a light puddle of water, and she was just walking slowly through it, and the angle of the camera being below at her feet, it was just very, like I said, it was very much a surrealist aesthetic, dreamy, but then also like the color palettes used in this film was very beautiful. Almost, I don't want to say dark, but it was that, it was like a dreamy aesthetic, but very vintage. And I hope I'm like giving it some justice, but I really, really, a very beautiful aesthetic. Yeah, and just everything used with the house, even like the color of the piano, because like that, it was almost like a mahogany cherry wood in a sense, which it was a little different from the piano in the 1995 version. The aesthetic carved out in this piano was so attention to detail and very beautiful. It was just very haunting. That's the best word that I can say that really kind of, excuse me, describe like what I was seeing and what I was feeling. I also love the theme of legacy, but then also there was another side of that theme where integrity was something that I felt like was the subtext of the conversation with legacy. Um, and that's the thing too. Like, I don't want to give too much away, but overall, if you don't know, the film basically follow Boy Willie as he goes back up north. Well, he goes up north from the south to see if he can sell some watermelons so that he can get some money to put towards purchasing the land that their family grew up on. And in order, if he sells a watermelon, he'll have some of the money. If he sells the truck, he'll have another piece of the money. And then if he sells the piano, then he'll have all of the money to buy the land. Now, I'm gonna say this: when he came in early in the morning, wanting to give this proposition of like not suddenly kind of giving the proposition. And Samuel L. Jackson did a great job of looking back, like, what you up to? Like, just looking at him as him and Layman are looking at looking at the piano as he's like, that's the piano you was talking about? And Samuel L. Jackson looking back like, you up to something. And it was just like, it was just so authentic. Like, as I'm seeing these men in conversation, I'm like, this reminds me of my uncles. Like, it reminds me of my uncles. And just seeing how he doesn't want to get too much in the way of the beef between Bernice and Boy Willie, but then also there's an underlining beef that has conspired. Like, there's an underlining beef that conspired from something else that happened. I'm not going to say. And then this is just taking it to a whole nother level where this piano is causing a rift in their family, but also in him returning, it is revealed that Sutter, who was I think it was like the great grandson or the grandson of the plantation owner of where their family is from, has died. He fell down the well, which they like to call it's the ghost of the yellow dog, and they do explain what the ghost of the yellow dog is. I am not going to say what it is because I want you to watch the film, because it does give away a good portion of the plot and why the piano is so significant. But basically, he explains when he comes to Doker's house, where also Bernice, she stays there. He's like, Sutter fell down the well, the ghost of the yellow dog got him, and I was offered a proposition to purchase the land. Now, he describes this conversation that he has with one of the family members, the brother, I believe, and he says, he doesn't want the land no more. He says he don't want nothing to do with it, and says, since we such good friends, I would like to sell it to you. Now, you call me crazy, but I was like, Boy Willie, do you really believe that this is going to be a genuinely amicable transaction? I want to believe that you would get sold this land, but you have to remember, like, this is the land of the property of the people who own your family. You understand the legacy of this piano and everything why this piano is so important and what happened with this piano. Do you believe that this will be a genuine, amicable transaction? Do you, Boy Willie? Do you? Do you? Even Bernice was saying, and listen, I understand him wanting to buy the land. And it was moments where I'm really rooting for him, but I'm like, when I found out what was the story about the piano and why Doker explained this person is Bernie's not gonna sell. Just understanding the legacy of what happened to the people that were involved with this piano, the history. I was like, I too was, I didn't know if he should get the land. I believe he should get the land, but do you have to sell this piano? Like, it was just like I was too kind of torn between the two of understanding like why Bernice didn't want to. And there's a great monologue that Bernice gives when she talks about how the men in this family are all the same. She explained why she didn't want him to sell the piano, and the person that he continues to talk about, but the other people that he do not consider, you don't consider when you're making different decisions like this. And that was something for me that I thought was a premonition of, if he tries to buy this land, I don't know if it will be a full-fledged, just a straight transaction. It just made me think like something was up with it. For some reason, I don't know why. And that might not even be the case. It might have been a straight transaction. But for me, it just made me think about the things that happened to Crawley, the things that happened to Willie Boy, the things that just happened in this family. Like, for me, I understood why the piano was so significant. But then it's like the catch-22 of like, well, we also deserve this land. And this really goes to all just the testament of like how good August Wilson is a writer, in a sense of like that monologue that Bernice gave, it really shows like how he is really good at writing women and from their perspective of how they would react in a situation. He also did a similar thing in Fences. Everybody knows the scene where Rose and Troy is arguing. Like, a really good monologue from the black woman perspective. And also, this has another scene in it that also emphasizes that, which I really enjoyed. I want to talk about the differences. Okay, I like the way when I watch this film versus watching the 1995 film, I can see the differences in Boy Willie. There were moments where Boy Willie in 1995 version, Charles Dutton, was very emotional on a scene, but John David Washington did a different depiction of how he felt, and I did appreciate it. There was moments where Lyman, also the same thing, when the way Ray Fisher played Lyman versus the way Courtney B. Vance played it, I saw differences, and I was like, okay, I like this. Also, this is another thing. I saw a review title, and it was very much kind of negative in a sense of like, it said something positive about Danielle Deadweiler, but it was just saying, it just made it seem like, I don't know, like it was just a very weird, and I started to read it and I just stopped reading the review. But what I will say is, watching this film, this is a very necessary film to watch in a sense of understanding the cultural essence. Even like those men in the dining room and the subtlety of the unspoken after they finish singing Alberta, the song Oh Alberta, I think that's the name of the song. And just seeing the sadness in them, where they was in their bag when they was singing, And then it's like reality hit. And it was just like, I just was like, oh my God. Just seeing the sadness in their eyes and just seeing the sadness of even them as they're pouring shots, and just understanding like how hard they are working. And even with Boy Willie's monologue of him wanting to have this land, like he deserves to have this land in a sense, like his family worked the land. Like if he wanted to take hard earned money and even legacy money to purchase this land, he deserves the right. But also, I even look at like Whining Boy of like his conversation of like his monologue of when how he talked about, oh God, I felt that the most when he was just saying like he wanted to be a musician. He gave it all, his all, and it just never got him anywhere. But at the same time, he don't have nothing else. That's the only thing he knows how to do. So it made him kind of resent the piano. Like he's an artist, he's a singer, he know how to play the piano, he writes music, but he it makes you resent the art. And I was like, yo, this is like, even from that perspective, I was like, wow, like he's going on the road making money doing this, but then like he still doesn't have the fulfillment of like just everything that he desired when it comes to following that road. And even seeing like, it's just like you can see like a lot, you can see it in these men, they just wanted more. Even like I could see Doker moving up to Pittsburgh, up north. He just wanted a different life. He didn't want to go back to the Parchment Farm. And even Lyman saying like, I'm not going back. But then they said that they got the sheriffs after Lyman. It was just like, I was just like, y'all, this is too much. This is too much. And just even like watching Bernice hot comb Maritha's hair, it's just like culturally. Oh wait, this was another thing that I thought was beautifully done without saying too much. Two things. Avery, I was like, Avery is a mess. Avery is a preacher and also an elevator conductor, I guess you would call them. But when he walked in that house and he saw Lyman and Boy Willie, it was like the fear of God came into him. Because you want to know why? It's because they see him. They see him and they know him. They was like, you a pet? When have you ever wanted to be a pastor? You just don't want to work. And I was like, Lyman. And I was wondering too with that. Okay, two things that this remind me. One, that reminded me of there's an episode in the first season of Reasonable Doubt, which I love Reasonable Doubt on Hulu. And Sean, I think his name is Sean Patrick Thomas. I forget what his name is in the show. But he basically talked about how he didn't want a black attorney. He didn't want to hire Jax at first, because a black woman attorney, because he knew she was going to see him. And that was when I saw that scene, I automatically thought about he's being seen. For whatever reason, that just made me think about that moment. The fear on his face was like, oh, I'm being seen. And then you find out how he wanted to sell Bernice's piano to get his church, but she said no. I was just like, why do you want to sell? And then him wanting to marry her because it would be a good look for the church. And also, he could be genuine, but like something in me was like, it's a lot of BS going on here. Like, and I just love the subtlety. Like, he wasn't yelling or doing too much, but it was the subtlety of it where you could see this person is full of BS. Even Boy Willie, the way he was coming up and how he was saying like, oh, you see Sutter's ghost. Maybe he came back for the piano. If you want to get rid of Sutter's ghost, you need to get rid of that piano. I was like, everybody's so full of ish. But even the moment when Lyman was like, when Bernice was like, I saw Sutter's ghost, and then Lyman was like, was he wearing a hat? And I was like, oh, so you saw the ghost too. You probably saw the ghost when you went. You probably saw the ghost. And then it also made me think like, did y'all push him down the well? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I love the ambiguity of this play because at first I was like, I don't know. Did he kill this person? Did the ghost of the yellow dog really get this person? Or did you push this person to get this land? Also, or even like the fact that like what Bernice was saying about her husband and she was in denial of it. But also, could they be lying? I don't believe they were lying though. But there was always a lot of little fishiness in different things. So it was a lot of ambiguity where I was like, is he up on up? Is he? And even Lyman, his interaction with Bernice. And I was like, wow, she's really distant with Avery, but look how she kind of really connected with Lyman. And it could be because he reminds her of her husband. There's like a simple charm to Lyman where I can understand where he's kind of shy, but you would take it as he's like goofy a little bit, but he's just like, I don't know, like it's just a subtleness to him where it can be charming to some women. And I think that's what he possessed, and I think that's why she got caught up and was like, oh wait, I shouldn't be doing this or whatever. But yeah, I freaking love it. And also, oh my god, when the ending was kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie, the ending was a little sad for me because when we saw Boy Willie at the farm, I'm like, he really wanted this land, and I understand why. But then also I'm like, would this have been an honest transaction? It probably would have came with some mischief or something. I don't know why I have that feeling in me. But also, I would have loved to see if he could purchase that land. Right? I don't know. But also, integrity is better. I mean, keeping your integrity, keeping your legacy, but also like everything that happened to the people that was involved in this piano. It's just like, if you start to try to play a quick one on somebody, it always came back to hurt that family. So that's why I was just like, Boy Willie, maybe y'all could do some piano lessons and save up the money to see if y'all can purchase the land. If y'all such a good friends, long-term friends, then maybe he'll like put it off a little while. I'm not gonna do that for you to buy that land. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Oh, the ending scene when Frank Ocean Wither started playing, I was like, oh, like it was just it was very touching. It was very touching. A very touching film. Love the way everything looked. Yeah. And it just reminded me of like little things and family members, and just little things and how hard people work. And yeah, just little things that I really appreciate from the film. But yeah, that concludes my review. I hope I didn't spoil too much, but I kind of shared the things that I really liked about the film, and just especially when it comes to the themes and the conceptual feedback that I got, or thought process that I got when I watched it. Yeah, so let me know if you checked out the film on Netflix or if in theaters. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will catch you all on the next one.